task force money. And what that does is it does not offset a line item, but it supplements a line item. And that's what the federal government wants you to do, is supplement your line item. Say, for instance, if the village can only afford one squad car, but we need 3, then I can buy the other 2 out of the federal money, as long as the village buys that 1 squad car. So I spent $68,000 of that money this year with the purchase of 2 squad cars, which supplemented what the village did. The village purchased 1 squad car. We spent $68,000 federal money purchasing 2. We got about $25,000 left in that fund. On the other hand, what's good about this program is I filed for federal funds for a little bit under $1 million for our percentage of that. We were just awarded 11% of $135,000, so we're going to get about $14,000. They cut in a check, and that'll be sent to the village real soon. We filed for 10% of $680,000. That was from a drug asset forfeiture. Did a search warrant. The guy had $680,000 in his house.
He didn't know where it came from.
You know, and he's not.
Check your spare bedrooms.
He's not.
Piles of money.
We've also filed for 10% of $99,500. We filed for 10% of $3,900. We filed for 10% of $3,000. We filed for 10% of $25,000. And we filed for 10% of $52,000. So those funds are incoming. So it's a constant supplement to the line. Believe me, I'm not the one out there in the danger zone. The police officer who is a policeman here in the village of Glenwood is a guy that's out there putting his life on the line. He is very good at what he does, and an example of how I know that, the DEA has offered him the job twice, and he's refused it. He wants to be a Glenwood police officer, so I'm very appreciative of his efforts.
And let him know where the money's coming from. The drug dealers are buying these squad cars. That's, I mean, I like the chief says that. I don't know if somebody get that, the forfeiture. The drug dealers are paying for your squad cars, which I like the squad cars, but I also kind of like the irony of that. So, but yeah, so they're taking the drug dealer money and buying squad cars for you guys.
So you're saying crime does pay?
I participated a couple of weeks ago in a symposium at the University of Chicago. It's called Youth and the Police. It was put on by Dr. Green at the University of Chicago Law School. I was a panelist there. And what I found during that 2-day session was how disconnected not only the adults, but especially the police departments are disconnected from the youth. And we were coming up with critical thinking issues on how we can re-engage the youth in our area. And that's very important. You know, just like we pick up the phone and complain on them, I think we need to take a little bit of extra time to engage them. They're not bad. I was out there today. I got a call. I've already started receiving complaints about the park. You know, the profanity, loud music here, you know, because we have homes right across from the basketball court. You saw me out there in this field trying to problem solve that issue. So I thought that maybe I ought to go just talk to the youth. And you'll find that these kids are very respectful. You know, they do what kids do. It's our responsibility to engage these kids and try to develop a relationship with them. And that's very important. So I'm thinking that a couple of meetings ago, we had a little critical issue conversation here about some of the issues that we face in law enforcement. And what you hear all the time is transparency. Now, you know, you can preach transparency, you can be transparent. It is my idea to be transparent transparent at the expense of being criticized. That's what I'm here to take this criticism in a positive manner. My reasoning for bringing a police officer here is so we can get to know who is policing us. Everybody knows Officer Fisher. He does a good job at what he does with respect to communication with the police department and officers and citizens on the street. So it's important that all of the officers have that type of mind frame. So the only way we can become transparent is if you engage the police department and ask those critical questions that are necessary for us to look at it and then possibly better ourselves. I've offered ride-alongs. I've done many this year, but I've offered ride-alongs, and I see many of you out here that have not done one, and I continue to preach that. But the other way I thought about, putting transparency out is come down and spend a day. Come down and spend 2 hours. The police department does not have to be a place that you only come when times are bad. I think if you engage and get to know the police officers, come in, look at our operation, give me some critical feedback, and then we can better. The goal is to build a relationship in a non-adversarial condition. Let's become friends in times of peace. So when the war break out, at least we can talk and communicate civilly.
All right.
Everybody agree with that?
All right, that's right.
Please feel free to walk into the police department, just like you go in there to pay your water bill. And sit around. You can come in the back of the police station. We got that little lobby, but that's your police department. You pay me and the police officers to do a job. And we have to do that with your advice. A lot of these problems I can't solve without your help. You are the ones that live here. You may live across the street from these parks. You see what's going on in these neighborhoods, and it's very important that you take a little time out of your busy schedules and come down and go into that police department. I would like for you all to have a village board meeting in the basement of the police department. We have video, we have Wi-Fi, we have all the things that we would need to put on some engaging conversation. So please take time out of your schedules and make time for your police department. Let's get to really know each other. Let's not wait, because bad things can happen in this profession. No police officer I know wakes up in the morning and say, I'm going to shoot somebody.
That's right.
Or I'm going to injure somebody. Or I'm going to get injured. It's important nowadays that we know each other, so when things go bad, as they will, we'll understand what ground we're on. We'll know who's responsible if it's misconduct involved. You'll know everything you need to know to engage your police department in a way that we can come to some understanding. And that's very important. Don't just watch the news and act like what's going on in Ferguson, New York, Chicago, Philly, all of the major cities can't happen here. It can happen here. And it's important that we develop some true, meaningful relationships. And I think that's very possible in this time. So I appreciate everybody's time, unless you have any questions you want to ask.
If we could just take the questions at the end, because always
Sure.
do it at the end, because you can take.
Cut me down, right? I'm gonna get a pulpit.
President, I just wanted to address one thing. The chief acts like he's unaware of this DEA thing that's going on. He did that stuff back in the 80s, and that's how he's good.
All right.
So he's all like, oh, this DEA guy. He was undercover. Yeah, he had a fur coat. You've seen pictures. But if you ever want to see the awards on the wall, literally, the village has to build him more wall. He's out of room.
I'm modest. I'm modest. Thank you.
I thank you, Chief Cook. Just under new business, because we have a heavy schedule for tonight, we want to make sure questions and concerns are addressed, okay? Under our new business, just briefly, I did meet with MB Financial, who has our account. They were scheduled to come out on tonight, but because of our heavy schedule, I asked that they come out on next month. But I have a packet of the services they offer, and yes, Ms. Collymore, I am meeting with them to see if we can have those fees waived, where we don't have to pay the $15, and if so, we have to pay something not as much. So on next month, Mr. Dave Martin will come out from MB Financial, but there's also information up there as well. And second, we have Ms. Sakina Gilbert. She was going to present on today on healthcare solutions. At the end of this meeting, she will have materials at the table so that when you come in on next month, you'll be prepared to know what valuable information that she has to share and how it can be of assistance to you. So I ask that you all will come back on next month. I thank everyone for coming out. On this evening, we have regarding our water rates and concerns. That was a great concern. And we reached out to some of our local officials. We talked about that in our meeting. So we did reach out to our local officials, and Cook County Commissioner Dr. Sims is here. Mr. Inspector? I'm terrible.
No. You must, I'm sorry, but I'm never gonna get the message. We tried to schedule her for this evening, but they had, our office had already scheduled her in for something else this evening.
Yes.
Okay, so she's gonna try to get back to us, and they're gonna try to see if they can we fit them in at another time.
Okay.
But she was already blocked in, and they couldn't, at this late hour, they couldn't change it back.
Okay, and I know she said she'll be out of town in June.
In June, right, but we might be able to do it in, July or either September.
Okay, so that would be good, because it's good to know that at least our local officials did listen, and they reached out to respond to our concerns. So we reached out to Commissioner Dr. Sims, who did reply, and Thaddeus Jones, Representative Thaddeus Jones, State Rep Thaddeus Jones, he did reply as well. And hopefully in the future meetings, they will come out and they will listen to our concerns and see what possible ideas can be gathered and what possible solutions we can come up with regarding our water rates. Well, that's great. I'm going to ask, because I know it's going to take quite a while, it's going to take us past 8 o'clock, and I don't want to disturb anyone while they're speaking. Can I get a motion to go past 8 o'clock?
So moved.
Okay, so moved. Can I get a second? Okay. Okay, at this time, I want to bring Mr. Leon Moore up, and then he's going to bring our new village president, acting mayor Ron Gardner. This past week, we had the ceremony for our park, our dedication. So people had an opportunity to go through the park, and there were some concerns, and there were some praises too. But Mr. Leon Moore, I'm going to ask that you will come up, that you will address those, add what you need, and then if you'll present Village President Ron Gardner. And let me just congratulate our new village trustee, Adam Winston. Adam has been giving us a great
Good evening.
Good evening.
Well, we're so happy to have our park back in commission, and we get a hand for the people. We had the grand opening on Saturday, and a lot of us had an opportunity to participate in that opening. And so what we want, just like anything new, obviously there's some hiccups. And what we wanted to do is take some time to try to make sure that we let the mayor and the trustee, Mr. Winston, make them aware of the fact that there's still some things to do. And so those of you who may have had the opportunity to walk the park, we have a yellow to do this. In other words, any concerns that you may have observed that need to be attended to, we thought we'd take a few minutes to kind of get those, and then make sure that the administration receives the things to do. For example, we need a fence around the kiddie park because of the safety issue as well as the fact that it's just looked kind of like an open vacant lot. So we've already communicated that to the village, so there's funds available for that. There's work that needs to be done in terms of the double doors here in the field house itself. We've already got a commitment that that's going to happen. And we need to spruce up the appearance of the field house on the outside. But more importantly, in terms of the park itself, as we walk the park, there are some things that were observed by the various folks, the users of the park, have some feedback in terms of some of the terrain is not as level as it needs to be. There's an issue with in terms of the bleachers that are here, in terms of whether or not they're going to be adequate. give us your feedback so we can make it even better than it is. So if you have any burning thoughts at this moment, you can either take them down or you can just leave them on that little yellow sheet that's out there. We try to put them in categories. We got the playground, of course, the playground, we would like to have more equipment. You know, we had more equipment before the renovation, we didn't have after the renovation for the little kids, so we're gonna look at that. In terms of the ground, the landscaping itself, the feedback from those that are using it say that it's uneven. You know, that it could endanger some of the children who are running around playing football or baseball. So we need to take a look at that. The walking track, I don't know, I didn't have a chance to do the walking track. Some of you who have said there still needs to be work done. But rather than do a kind of a brainstorm, initially we thought we were going to do a brainstorming session, we're going to just sit around and kind of critique it. But I got to say that it's been a lot of work, a lot of investment in the park, so we want to make it even better than it currently is. So if we can get your feedback and make sure that we get that feedback to the administration, we do have the mayor here. So whatever you have on your minds tonight, if you can just voice that, we'll try to take notes of that. But we really want to get a complete list. So anything that's burning on your chest, that anyone who was there who made an observation that we need to make sure that the mayor hears it from you. Oh, don't speak at once.
I have one. Saturday was my first time going to a new park. And I was excited about a new park, but I really have to tell Mayor Gardner, I was disappointed. I was really disappointed because we were here to celebrate our new park, and I'm looking at all the weeds, and I'm thinking, you know, they could have just put some fertilizer on the grass. That would have been nice. But what's really of concern to me, and this is something new, I guess this is something new, it doesn't look as though the architects even got input from the community. I'm not saying this in a disrespectful way, but when I walk and I look at what I call the headstones, they look like headstones in dedication to the people who live in this community. First, they're kind of unattractive, but safety. If you look at the one right here at the playground, it's right there at the play equipment. So if the children are running back and forth having a good time, they can definitely hurt themselves right over there at the playground. The other, for Miss Judy King, is right over there by the concession stand. That's still real close to that, where they're playing football. If the children are getting their food right there at the concession stand, they can just turn around and trip and hurt themselves. To me, it's just dangerous. It doesn't look as though much planning went into it. And when I look at the flower bed over there as a dedication to Mr. Elmore, who used to be into horticulture and did a lot of landscaping, it just looked as though they just put something together. It really looked as though they were sitting at a cemetery. You know, if you're supposed to enjoy the park, I thought if we're going to do something for Mr. Elmore, who was into landscaping, I thought the village would have something up in the front of the park, beautifying the outside here, so people know, hey, we got a new park, this is something new. It looks worse to me than it did before they did any renovations. And I know we did run out of money. I know a few years ago, at the village hall meeting, they said some things would be done in-house. But just trying to spruce it up so it is nice, so we can rejoice that we have a new park. If we can just tighten up on some of those things, that could be pretty good. Those things could be pretty good.
That was a major concern. Okay, what we're going to do, if you got anything that's really burning on your chest, you guys get it off. What we like you to do is just jot down the major concerns, and then we're going to let Mayor Gardner address what kind of plan of action that we can undertake to make sure that those things get improved. I'm sorry, you had nothing.
I was just wondering about the tennis courts. Were they ever going to be in use again? Seems like they started it, but I know years ago we used to use tennis courts. Where they start
We're looking at ideas of what one of the things that we discussed was golf. There's a sign out there that says no pets. People walk their dogs on the trail. So policy-wise, people are gonna be out there with dogs. So if you're gonna be out there with dogs, leave the dogs and have the dogs coming up. People with dogs, are walking their dogs up and down the street on people's lines, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. People, have an opportunity in the park to walk around, exercise themselves and their dog. With what's going on today, you cannot take your dog over to the force reserve because you might have a situation with tickets, et cetera, big tickets, and that and the other thing. So, we have gone to parks in some of our upper class neighborhoods, so to speak, above suburbs. People take their dogs to football games. They have them beat, they sit down right there with the people. And to say that no pets are allowed in the park, that's kind of hard. If we're gonna say no pets, then we're gonna enforce it. So it's a policy issue as far as
I'm not gonna try to answer all of this concerns, we're just cataloging this, okay? In terms of, I had my thoughts about it, but that's another story. Any other major concerns? Yes, I'm sorry,
Okay, I just want to say, retention ponds. Do I need to say
oh,
more?
I'm sorry, the retention.
Say, the right place where the water is supposed to run?
Yes,
I need to tighten up them right back there.
okay. Okay, I'm sorry.
My concern is that the park is nice. I mean, the way they rebuilt it, but it's only for, let's say, 6 years old and younger. What are the kids 8 to 10 gonna do? Because, I mean, if you put 3 or 4 young kids over there, then it's kind of takes away from the older kids.
Now, this is, you're talking about the kiddie park?
Yes.
Okay.
The park itself is just too short for, it's not enough for older kids. So what are the older kids gonna do over there?
You guys put a skateboard.
Yeah, we have to think about them too, because yes, it's good for young kids. I have grandkids out here. But then as they grow and grow past that part right there, I know we have the baseball games and all parents don't put their kids in the sports. So now we need something else for some of the older kids.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take this opportunity to bring the mayor up.
Bring the mayor up.
We do want your input, so if you got any thoughts, if you wanna jot those down, or just leave them by us, we'll get into the mayor. Okay?
Trustee, village mayor.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Since our last meeting, some things have changed a little bit.
Yeah.
So, I understand the concerns about the park. I think they had meetings beforehand. I wasn't on the board when they did, but I think they had meetings before they designed the park.
They did, and they met on a Sunday, and apparently they did not take anyone's advice from the homeowners, because the homeowners said a committee that met with village officials, and what went up was nothing that reflected their input.
They scheduled a meeting, we were here to discuss concerns, and then a meeting, they had already set the field house previously, so we had to meet. So that's, and then the meeting was